What's up, guys? Eric McLean here. Welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by our friends over at Ingles. Appreciate you guys tuning in every single week. Hey, we need your help, though. We need you to jump down here, mash that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are so close to 10K. Cannot appreciate you guys enough. Cannot really believe it, how this thing has grown, and could not do it without you guys. So we need your help. Go hit that subscribe button. Jump in the comments of this episode. Georgia Tech fans, if you didn't notice by the honey hive behind me, I've got my little yellow jacket back there chilling. We are talking to Haynes King today, the GOAT, one of the grittiest, the grittiest dude in all of college football. The boys over on SiriusXM, EJ and Jake, love that guy, EJ Manuel, my boy. They love this dude and how he plays. Jacob Hester calls him the meathead quarterback, meathead player of the year, and the things that he does. And he embodies all of that. It is so much fun every time I get to watch him in person, but also when I get to talk to him and kind of peel back his mind and his brain and see how he sees the game. And we kind of jump into that. I know it's Virginia Tech week, and we want to talk about the Hokies and what the Yellow Jackets are going to do against them as they come to town. But I wanted to hear more from Haynes, how he sees things, how he reads things, communication-wise, and just quite frankly, how's Georgia Tech dealing with this new territory that they're in right now? They've got a nice, pretty number beside their name. They've got a lot of expectation from people like myself and the rest of the crew because they're good. And they've got a nice schedule in front of them, and it could lay out really nicely for them to get to Charlotte. So we talk about all that with Haynes. As I mentioned in the episode, the huddle will be there. I cannot wait. Georgia Tech fans, I don't know what you were doing Saturday morning last week, but if you saw what the Noles did, they packed the house. It was the most fun show we have ever had. Given our proximity, given the time of the game, we would love to see that with you guys as well. So pack it out. We will be right outside the stadium. You can't miss us. We put on a big show. So grab your signs, make them creative, make them fun. We'll get you on TV. We'll have a lot of fun there. Not as much fun as me and Haynes have right here. So appreciate you guys. Really quick, a message from our friends over at Ingles, and then we talk to QB1.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
All right, guys, now we're joined by the quarterback, my guy, Haynes King. Haynes, I've told you this 1,000 times, but it is so fun to watch you play, man. I just really feel like you are an offensive lineman in a quarterback body, and you just do whatever it takes for your team. How you doing, man? How's everything going?
Doing pretty good. That bye week helped a lot, getting the body back right. So right now, we're just focused on Virginia Tech.
Yeah, no, I know how it is, man. And I know that break is it's pretty big, especially when you play as physical as you do. Let's just kind of start there, man, because you're getting older, and I remember talking with Coach over the summer, KG, and I were like, how are you going to protect Haynes King? And he looks us dead in the face and says, we ain't protecting him. Like, he's playing. He's going to do what he does. So where do you get that mindset from, man, of literally you're going to do whatever it takes for your team?
I'd probably just say, I developed it over the years through my parents. Dad being an offensive line himself, and then, mom always being hard on me and my sister. If we're not, the biggest thing that they graded us on was effort. If we weren't out there and they didn't think that we were giving our best effort, and then as well as that, just body language on top of that, if we weren't doing that, then, we were going to hear it on the car ride home. Just developing that over the years. Yeah, you're not perfect, but, if you can control your effort, control what you control. And that was the main thing that they kind of just raised us on and over the years. And also, like, when you're playing, you always want to represent, one, your team, and then two, your family, the name on the back of your jersey, because you're representing more than just yourself. Mm-hmm. So when you're out there, you just want to give it your all and do the best for them.
I know that's right, man. And it's been a privilege, for me. I kind of get a different look at things now because I get to work with Jimbo Fisher, and he coached you. He recruited you. He had you over at Texas A&M. And he said, he echoes that same sentiment. He says, listen, his daddy's tough and he's a football coach and all these things, but it's the mom that always got them
Yeah.
right. What was that like, man? I mean, is your mom whipping your tail into shape, or what's the deal at home, man?
I can't say too much on camera, but she definitely did her duty, and you know, I can't thank her enough for that. It didn't really matter if it was just sports or even school. You know, she was hard on us. You know, if it wasn't all A's, then we're definitely gonna hear it. You know, we're gonna get lectured even more on that. So
I love it,
she was
man.
hard on really everything for me and my sister. It wasn't just me; it was
Yeah.
both of us.
That's what mama bears are for. That's what mama
Oh
bears are
yeah.
for. I know it. I know how it goes. But they're your biggest fan, right? And they'll always
Oh
be
yeah.
there for you and all those different things, which you absolutely love. But let's talk about you a little bit, man. We'll go big picture and obviously talk about the Jackets and dive a little bit into this, matchup this weekend, which the huddle's going to be there. Can't wait to see you guys. Never seen you lose, so I don't plan to change that this weekend when we'll be there with you. But one thing that I'm always so interested in, I think the country is finally catching on, is just how complex this offense can be. And maybe it's simple at the core with things that you do every day, but Coach Faulkner and yourself do such a great job of motions and orchestrating that offense and moving things around, to try to get different looks. How is that for you as a quarterback with all that responsibility that you have to do pre-snap and then the ball snapped and you're looking and going through that process again?
I mean, honestly, it's not too bad if you simplify everything. You know, a lot of people try to overcomplicate stuff, overcomplicate the game, overcomplicate the play, stuff like that. But if you find a way to simplify it and compartmentalize it in your head, it's not that hard. And then, like you said, with all the shifts and motions, it's a good tell for me. You know how they're going to set the strength, and then are they running with the motion? That determines man zone, stuff like that. So I get to see a bigger on what they're trying to do defensively. But on top of that, like I just said, sometimes, people just overcomplicate everything. It might just be we're giving a different look just to run this play, or we're going to give the same look. We just hit this run and gassed them. Now their safety's getting nosy. Now we're going to hit them with play action, stuff like that. Like it's actually not as complicated as people
Mhm.
see it or think about it. But people do tend to do that and overcomplicate just the game itself.
Yeah. We see all the movement. We're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Because there's a lot of action. And then even post snap, with misdirection and pullers and you going the opposite way of those guys, you do a great job of managing it. And it's really fun to kind of see you guys execute at a high level. I do kind of want to pick your brain here for a second as well, just to see how you see the game and hear how you see the game. You guys were playing Colorado in that opener. You motion your wide receiver across, and I think he's just out of the play, just kind of dead. Then you're running like a read counter. You're looking at the defensive end, but what I thought you saw was that nobody ran with that guy. You rip it immediately and throw it out to him. How are you processing when it's literally a triple option, but a different triple option? How are you processing in coverage, linebacker, apex, like all these different things? How do your kind of eyes go on any given snap or read?
One, it kind of depends on the motion. Are we snapping it after he crosses the center? If you snap before, now you can read it out. You can read the end. But if you snap it after the center, now I can see, hey, are they rolling with it? Are they bumping out?
Mhm.
Do we have them out leveraged? Now I can rip it out there if they don't. If they do adjust with it, now I'm just gonna read it out, and then I read it out, read the end. He squeezes out, I pull it. Now I can still run it, but I can also still spit it out there late if that
Mhm.
apex guy wants to fall back in
Mhm.
to tackle me. So, like I said, it all kind of depends on the motion, compartmentalizing that. Like, hey, I'm snapping it after he crosses center, so I can look at how they're adjusting to that. If I snap it before, I'm reading it out, and it's more of a feel thing. And we've done it enough times where
Right.
I'm kind of reading through that end. If nobody's out there, and it's 2 for 1. If I pull it, I'm leaning to the pass. If it's not, the DN's kind of like surfing or getting upfield, and
Mhm.
now it might be 2 for 2, and it's better to hand it off, let it eat.
Right. Yeah. It's so fascinating. And is that like, again, I've never played the position, never done it to that extent at all. But is that a hard thing to practice? Like, because it is such game speed and there are things that are so unique. Like, is it more beneficial for you to watch it on film or to go through it in a practice?
A little bit of both, and I think we do a really good job of, going over it in meetings and then carrying it over to the walkthrough to get that same look. And then now we're going to do it full speed in practice.
Hmm.
So the more experience, the more reps that you get with it, the better off it is. It's just also kind of like nowadays people do it better, like seeing it instead of like, on paper, this is what it's supposed to be. And then now you get too focused on it has to be this way instead of
Right.
just sometimes it's not on paper, just how you're playing with it. And so it's easier to see it on film, walk through it, and then go through it full speed. And I feel like the coaches do a really good job of setting that up.
Yeah, that is a great point that you bring there of people almost get, analysis or paralysis by analysis because they're watching it and they're like, okay, it has to be this way. It has to be this way. And then when it's not, it's like an explosion. And what I think you do and Coach Faulkner and everybody does such a great job is y'all are like adjusting live in color as it's happening. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close enough that we see the look that we want. I've always been really impressed with kind of that. What is that communication like, between you and your OC? I mean, are you guys after every series talking and looking down, or do you kind of just trust him on what he sees and how he adjusts as the game goes on?
It goes through a little of trust aspect with that because I get most of my messages through Winky. I'm sure Buster's sending those to Winky, and he teaches us and coaches us on those pointers. But it goes through a lot of trust, and then the adjustments. It's just that we pride ourselves, offensively trying to block moving objects as well as that because we're like you said, we're motion and shifting all the time, so there's not many people standing there. And then as well as some of the meshes as well, there's been people mesh charging up the field, surfing, squeezing, squeeze scrape. So we've gotten a whole lot of looks, and to be able to walk through those and see those during practice as well with ball polish, just try to clean stuff up like that. Like Buster and the whole coaching staff offensively do a really good job of seeing that, and then kind of breaking it down. They try to make everything black and white for us because the more gray it is, the slower you're going to play because you're not really you're thinking more than reacting and playing.
Mhm.
So they try to make all the rules black and white. And if somebody sends a blitz or gives us this look that gives us issues, okay, now they're going to, as a coaching staff, sit down and try to come up with a rule or something that makes it black and white for us,
Mhm.
put us in the best position possible.
Yeah, and I do love that because it's just if they're showing this, you do that. There's no decision that has to be made. You see it, you know it, you've been taught that, and that makes a lot of sense, especially with everything that you guys do movement wise, pre post snap. Makes a ton of sense there. Last thing about you, which I know you hate talking about yourself, but I do want to hear one more thing. Man, you don't get sacked. You don't take sacks. Your boys protect you really well. I have to imagine that that's something that you take really personally, getting that ball out, throwing it away, or getting a positive yard if you can. But what's kind of your mentality, man? When the walls are closing in and it gets a little tight, which isn't often. I gotta give your boys credit. They're great up front. But what's kind of your process? What's your headspace when that does happen?
Really, just knowing where all the five guys, however many guys that you have out on the route, knowing where your check downs are. You come off fake or you're dropping back and you're thinking touchdown, check down, stuff like that. If you know where everybody is, you know where your outlets are. If I get in a bind, okay, this is my outlet. This is my guy that my fail safe. So that's big on knowing where everybody is, knowing the check downs, like I said, but in the process of it, you're thinking touchdown first and check down. And then with no sacks, like I said, like you were just saying, the guys up front, five guys up front, they do a hell of a job, and we do a really good job with walkthroughs, the preparation throughout the week, knowing each look that we're going to get, knowing that we might even have to make an adjustment on that from week to week because some teams they're probably going to have a look just to try to mess with us, mess with our slides, and stuff like that. Try to
Yeah.
give them upper hand because they're going to do the same thing we're trying to do. But I'd say the biggest deal is, knowing where your check downs is, know where every guy is on the routes, and that helps you play faster as well. Knowing your reads, and even Jimbo's taught me a lot, and throughout the years I have gotten better and better on finding those guys instead of just forcing it. Like, hey, here's my first read, and then how they're playing the second read can get me to my third read like that, and it works really well. And like I just said, it was just knowing where everybody is.
Yeah. And I that has to be maybe not difficult, but a learned thing, right? Because in your whole life, you're probably used to, chucking that thing, launching it deep, and you probably have played with really good guys, and your abilities obviously shine through. But there's been Hall of Fame careers that have been made by throwing to the check down. And so it is wild to me that I don't see more quarterbacks proficient in that. What does that take to go into that? Because it sounds simple, right? Go to your check down. We know where he is. We know what he's doing. What all goes into learning that, trusting that, knowing that, where you can? You're scanning one, two, nothing's there. Boom. Oh, there's Jamal Haynes. Oh, by the way, he's pretty good. Let's get him the rock. What all goes into really that comfort level of getting to your check down? And I guess how do you balance not going to it maybe too early, leaving something on the table?
That's probably the hardest one. Sometimes, how guys play, you know, their body language on defense. Are they trying to play 2-1? Meaning, like, are they trying to play the corner down to the flat player, or are they just stuck on the flat? Now they're trying to get back to the corner. You can get over there, stuff like that. I'd say that's the hardest one. Sometimes, seeing body language and like, oh, I thought he was a little deeper than what he was, but it you can never, go broke taking profit. That's the biggest one, and then I think it just comes with the experience on knowing, kind of, you've tried to force it in practice and it didn't work, and it's like, okay, I'm learning from that one. Like, that
Right.
guy's getting deep, I'm just drop it down.
Yeah.
And let people, like you said, Jamal, he's a really good one, and just getting the ball in his hands in open space, he can make people miss, and you never know, that check down might end up being a touchdown when you get the ball in the guy's hands like that.
No,
So
there's no doubt.
that's the biggest one right there.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, man, and it's fun to watch, especially when you can go through those reads. You see it just because it's good football, right? It's high level football. It shows that the quarterback really understands the offense and has a grasp of what you guys are trying to do. Let's flip the page a little bit here, and I know it's early, but let's talk about Virginia Tech and just what you've seen from that group. What do you think they're going to bring to Bobby Dodd, and maybe some keys that you're really looking at throughout this game?
Virginia Tech, they're playing really good ball right now. They had a tough break early on, but now I'd say they're a really dangerous team. They're coming in here, you could say, like, almost with nothing to lose, almost, and just they're going to come in here, play hard, let it rip. Not a lot of pressure on them, and they're just going to try to pretty much piss on our cornflakes. So we know they're going to play hard. On film, defensively, they're a really good coach team. They give us a lot of different looks, a lot of different looks up front, and even in the back end, they try to hide coverages and roll different ways. They might think on this look, it might be looking post high safety, and now a split and go to cover two, stuff like that, or the opposite, looking like too high shell, and then they're rolling down. So they hide coverages really well, and then, like I said, they give us a lot of different looks up front with different fronts.
Excited to see it, man. It's going to be a ton of fun. Last one for you, get you out. Super grateful for your time. You guys are kind of changing the guard a little bit. You're changing the culture, the narrative, and you're winning high level football games. We have talked about on the desk a lot because I went through it at Clemson, Eddie at Virginia Tech, and obviously Coach Fisher throughout his entire career. When you go from that underdog role where nobody expects anything from you, you always have that chip on your shoulder, to now you got a number by your name. Now there's some excitement. Now there's people talking about ACC championship and getting to Charlotte and things like that. How, for you as the leader of this team, as the guy, the quarterback, how do you manage that? Like, is there a message you're sending to your team? And then maybe even personally, how do you stay level headed?
I mean, the message that you send to everybody is really, you can't get complacent. Coach Winky, he does a really good job of in meetings. How are you gonna fight human nature? Human nature pretty much is, once you have success, you kind of ease up. I've arrived, stuff, that type of deal. How are you gonna fight human nature? How are you gonna elevate yourself with preparation, with practice? So now you're elevating your gameplay. And he does a really good job, and we kind of relay the message throughout the week to the other guys. And then, the offense goes through the quarterback. So however fast we're pushing that tempo, and that we're demanding guys to go and push themselves, that's how fast our offense is going to go. So that's a little taste of kind of what happens throughout the week and whatnot. And then for me, it's just like, my eyes just keep staying on the prize. I've deleted social media. I've had help, people, you know, running it for me and helping me with posts and all that. So now I don't even really have to look at everything that's going on. So that's a blessing in disguise right there itself. So that helps a lot. Not seeing like all the outside noises. So now I can just stay focused in what's going on in the building and do that.
Yeah, that's a smart way to do it, man. Whoever advised you to do that or whoever helped you make that decision, that was wise words. And again, thank you for your time, brother. Cannot wait to see you this weekend and good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Rollback just dropped their licensed game day collection. Polos, hoodies, Q-zips, custom designed for your school. On game days, we wear Rollback, period.